All right. We've come a long way, my friend. We've come a long way since the first episode where I was sitting on my couch like a schmuck with these fucking earphones I got from work.
Every sports fan has an opinion. Well, these are ours. Welcome to Brock and Pep's Unsportsmanlike Convo. And here are your hosts, Brock Fleming and Pep Cariotti.
All right. Hey, Pep. Looking good, buddy. Branded and everything.
Thanks.
I like it.
Yeah, this is great.
You know what I do forget, though, is when I start putting the intro song on, I'm looking around, I'm checking different things. I keep forgetting we're doing video now.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. And so the awkward pauses are easily viewed by everybody, so that's perfect.
It's a great intro song, though, eh? We really nailed that one.
Well, we didn't do anything, but we got the right guy, and he did a pretty good job. I think it was only $20 or something. It was amazing. He did a good job.
Can you repeat the opening?
Like, okay.
No. You.
Oh.
you. What, do you remember what he says?
God. Can you?
Every sports fan has an opinion. Well, these
are ours.
Welcome to Brock and Pep's Unsportsmanlike Convo.
Yeah, okay. Now I remember it, but it took me...
That bothered me all day, man.
What, trying to figure out what it was?
All day, I forgot about it.
All right.
Oh.
Speaking of forget about it, people are going to forget about this. What do we got on? Again, let's keep it around half hour. Let's do this.
Yeah. We're going to be less than a half an hour. So, there is... There's, I think, officially, in the last few days, MLB and the MLBPA have gone back and forth with a plan to restart the season, or actually start the season. And I think, as of today, things were official. Things were signed. A handshake was placed, and away we go. We're ready to rumble with a 60-game MLB season. For me, I just don't see the point of a 60-game season when you actually play 152 games regularly, or 162, sorry. 162 games, you're playing 102 games less than what you'd normally play. So strategies are going to be altered. Coaches, managers are going to have to figure out a rotation. Maybe they don't need a 5-man rotation, a pitching staff where you're throwing a guy out every 5 days. He's only going to get, I don't know what. Again, don't forgive my math, but how many starts is he going to get in 60 games if he's coming out every 5? 10?
12.
12 starts. 5 times 12 is 60.
Okay, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
12 starts. I mean, are you going to give a guy a Cy Young Award going 10-1 or 10-0? I mean, it's no sure shot.
You're very fixated on the Cy Young Award. There's a couple times you've brought that up. And I just, at this point, I don't think anybody really cares about the actual awards, because do you give any award for a 60-game season? I'm excited for it because I've always thought baseball was too long anyway. And I think now, especially with being, baseball's fairly condensed anyway, but the fact that each game is so important, and it's so weird the way you're drinking water because of the background. It looks like you're drinking nothing. Anyway. We'll work on the backdrops and whatever. We know this is not real for people.
It's a work in progress, guys.
It's definitely, but at least you're not seeing, a dirty ass room.
Yeah.
But with the importance of the shortened season and every game, I think you may need maybe a deeper pitching staff in order to compete every single game and put out like aces every time you go out there. And your starters might have to, maybe it's not every 5 days. I don't even know. Why is it every 5 days? Is that like a rule, or is that just like a, hey, you know what I mean? Like it started with one guy that's just like, I can't pitch every any more than 5 days, or what?
No, look, when we grew up, there were 4-man rotations. So your ace pitched every four days. And as you know, there's not going to be a W or an L every single time you pitch. If you get yanked early and a relief pitcher comes in, he might get the W or the L depending on the time of the day. So I just think that a 5-man rotation, there have been so many studies done on pitchers' health and routine and consistency. And these guys have fine-tuned their workout plans to basically be a starting pitcher every 5th day. And if you threw them in on a 4th day, their risk of injury goes up exponentially just based on their training and based on how it is and the rest days. So,
okay, but think of long term. If you think, okay, you're going every 5 days, but you're at 160 games, or you go every 4 days and you're only playing like your max rotation out of 60 games, I think the overall workload is still going to be a lot less on the guys this year, right? Like the overall wear on the arm.
This year is for me is a it's a wild card. This year benefits teams like the Blue Jays because they're going to have expanded rosters. I think with everything going on with COVID and the risks, they're going to have extra players on each roster. So you're going to see guys like Nate Pearson play for the big club this year, and he was scheduled to be in AA and AAA this year. He's going to get some time with the big club with these expanded rosters. So the Jays are going to make a run this year with the rules in place, with a short season. One winning streak of 10 or 12 games vaults you up to the upper tier of your division. I don't even know how they're going to organize the divisions actually this year. I think it's going to be a little different than what we're used to seeing. But for me, baseball over the years, 162 games, baseball purists are all about analytics. They love statistics. They love it all based on 162 games, a batting average, home runs, RBIs. People who are numbers crazy love baseball. On base percentage, steals, how well a guy hits when there's 2 men on base versus 3 men on base. Like, it's just madness. There's so many analytics to study, and baseball purists love this stuff. They're not going to love a 60-game season. I'm not thrilled about the fact that it's only 60 games. I would have liked to seen it be at least 80, at least half the season. Keep it on par with the NBA and hockey. Make it 82 games.
Moving forward, or just for this year?
I would like to see the MLB play 100 games. I think 162 is just way too much.
I agree.
But I also think that 60 is not enough. And you're putting these guys at risk for 60 games?
Well, now you're in it's 60 games that are, like we said, the importance of every game. So if they are open to fans, if it is a television revenue generating thing, there's revenue coming in somewhere. So whether it's in the stands or whether it's on TV with a 60-game schedule, I am more apt to watch 60 games than I am watching 162, especially if it's not Toronto anyway. But I will watch other games that are meaningful because it's a shortened season that I would not otherwise have.
You're a college football guy, so of course every game means something, and you're all about that, right?
Correct.
Having the regular season means something. I think that's the ultimate debate in baseball over the last 100 years. I mean, are you going to draw the regular fan for game number 92 when you're 25 games out of first place? I get it. This could be the year. This could be the year that baseball turns it around and says, hey, okay, maybe not 60 games, but maybe 82 games. I like 100 personally. I think that gives the pitchers enough starts. I mean, you've developed your minor league system from single A to triple A based on 162 games. So these kids train for that. So if you suddenly throw a wrench and say, we're playing 80 games from now on, from here on in, it changes the whole dynamic of your minor league system and how you draft and who you look for. And it's a bigger conversation than I think we realize. But I'm with you. Okay, 60 games is going to make every game mean something. So I think the Jays have a shot. Just turning it back to the Jays, are you excited to see this young team play a 60-game season? It's anyone's game at 60 games.
It is, and the Jays are doing everything right. They're they got the young talent that are primed for the sprint, which is what this season is. They went ahead, and everybody got COVID now to get that out of the way so it doesn't affect them during the 60 games. Like they got a schedule and they're sticking to it.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Joking aside, in terms of the COVID, they got, 14 guys or something like that had it? Do you think, okay, we're excited for the season. It's sports. It's something to talk about. It's 60 games. The Jays are exciting to watch. They're, again, the young guns in round 2, year 2, like there's some high expectations and we're all pumped for it. Do you think the season actually happens though?
You know what? I don't know. California, Florida, some of these hub cities that have been talked about as the bubble cities for these teams to play in are seeing huge spikes in COVID-19.
Massive.
Huge.
Yeah.
Massive. Arizona was another city that they another state they want to play in Phoenix. Look, I don't know, man. We're seeing huge surges of COVID-19, and again, it's like the players, are they at risk physically? Well, no, we don't know how the virus actually has what it actually does long term, so we don't know about these players' long term health. But man, coaches, there's guys in their 60s and 70s base coaching. There are 60-year-old and 70-year-old managers in the league still. I mean, these guys are at serious risk if they catch this virus. So,
and you brought up baseball purists who love the numbers, love whatever. Baseball purists are all in the very susceptible to COVID-19 range because they're all 70 plus.
Sure. And now we're seeing again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just regurgitating what I've read, but we're seeing a spike in like the average age of people catching COVID in the States being like 32 or 33 or something like that is what I read. So, that's a scary thing. And, do I think the season happens? Actually, I don't. I don't see sports happening. There are too many athletes catching COVID, and the NBA is just right now. It seems like every team has caught COVID. The Toronto Raptors have gone to Orlando for their training camp.
Yeah, I don't think that was smart, considering Florida's state right now. But
right. Well, what about the NHL? Let's. That's a good segue into the NHL. The NHL has narrowed their hub cities down to. I think Vancouver is still in the hunt.
Edmonton, I think Vegas.
Toronto?
Possibly.
So, does hockey happen?
I thought Toronto was a hotbed for it too. So, I mean, Austin Matthews has it already. Like,
I just, you know what? I mean, I love sports. We're a sports show. So for us to say like, hey, I don't think this is a wise idea to have sports coming back. I mean, kind of goes against our whole premise of our show. But like, what are we coming back to? Like hockey, what's left? You're going to play a shortened mini playoffs. Let's say it starts July 30th. You're going to end October? That's when the new season's supposed to start.
Yeah. Yeah, I again, we're a sports show. We like to talk about sports. We're all excited for sports to come back. We all want some sort of normalcy in our lives. And sports is a pretty big aspect of it from a fan point of view. There's always different seasons. There's things you're following. You're invested in it. There's your local teams. There's the revenue it brings. There's the local businesses and the revenue that's generated from sports and businesses that rely on sports. And we want it. We want it to come back. So they're pushing for it. But I honestly think that it's too soon, and I don't think any of them are going to happen, especially the rate it's going with the spikes we're seeing and key members getting it already. That now it's I don't know. I'm surprised that they haven't yet pulled the plug on some of them. NBA being one. I just don't know why they haven't pulled back and said, you know what? I think it was too soon, and we're going to have to just kind of cut our losses. Yeah.
You know what? It's tough. I'm on the fence because my life is basically sports. It's watching, playing. I work in fitness for a living, but my hobbies are all sports related. So this has been real tough on me. And I was excited a couple of weeks ago, and even on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, I expressed my joy and happiness for I'll take anything. Well, now I'm scaling back, and I just think that a season starts. Let's say a season starts, the MLB. Let's say MLB starts, and then there's a surge in cases. Are they just going to halt the season and then restart after things get the all clear? I mean, it's just gonna. I just don't see a full season happening. I see maybe a playoffs. I think the NBA and hockey can pull it off because it's just the playoffs. But I don't see a season happening in MLB without them having to stop one more time or two more times based on a surge or an outbreak in the locker room. Like I just don't, I don't know. I just don't see MLB happening. But
no.
Yeah. Anyway, that being said, why don't we take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about. Can we take a break on live?
I don't know. How do you take a break with video? I don't know. Okay.
Well, guess what? We're going to try to take a break.
All right, we're taking a break. Pep's going to go to the washroom.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
All right, we're back, and I don't know. I guess we'll see in editing how the break happens. If we do it live, Pep, then we're going to have an issue. We're not going to be able to do that. So we're going to have to be a little bit better prepared. But whatever, we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
All right, what are we moving on to?
We've got NHL Hall of Fame inductees and snubs.
Ooh, the air horn was late. That was for the inductees, not for the snubs. Sorry, guys.
That's so much for the snubs. But I will say this. I'm thrilled for Jerome McGinley, one of my favorite non-Montreal Canadian players. Just a great Canadian. On Team Canada, he was one of the hardest workers. He led that, I would say, overachieving Calgary Flames team to a Stanley Cup final. They ended up losing to Vinny Lecavalier and Dave Andrechuk and Marty St. Louis and the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think it was 2004. I'm dating myself now. But that was a fun team. He had a great run with one organization. Did he get a cup with the Bruins, or is he in the Dan Marino class? Did he get his cup?
Yeah, he got a cup with, I believe, it was the Bruins. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Happy for him. Very, very happy for him. So congratulations to Jerome McGinley. Kevin Lowe. Now, Kevin Lowe is an interesting guy because he actually had great stats, but if you look at some of the teams he played for, I mean, he played beside Paul Coffey in Edmonton. I think he's got 4 cups. And then he went on and played beside Brian Leach in New York. So he's played with Hall of Fame defensemen by his side, offensive defensemen no less. So, maybe that inflated some of his point totals. I don't know. But congratulations to Kevin Lowe.
He just went in as a player, Kevin Lowe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A great career, by the way, and he's a upstanding individual in the NHL and a great coach. I think he's in the front office now. I'd have to look up which team he's for, but congratulations to Kevin Lowe. Marian Hossa is an interesting one. I forget how good he is or was. I think he was part of those 3 cups in Chicago. He was on that Ottawa team that had a cup run. What's your take on Marian Hossa?
Marian Hossa, again, would be under the radar for me. Like, he's not one guy if you're like, oh, this is the guy that's up for the Hall of Fame for sure. But, I mean, if you look at his game, he had all facets of it, from offensively, defensively, power play, killing penalties. Like, the guy brought something in every aspect of the game at a high level and was, a very big impact, especially with those Chicago teams. I mean, he did what he did in Ottawa, which was, excel enough to be wanted and brought to a team like Chicago for those final pushes. But again, he was not a guy that always, didn't scream Hall of Fame at me because he wasn't like, the best at each individual thing. But when you look at his actual game, it was all aspects of it that he was really good at. So I'm hey, good for him. Kudos to him.
Yeah. And I got to say, I think I wish I had your brother here because we could use a fact check. But did he have a cup of coffee with Pittsburgh? Did he win a cup with Pittsburgh or Detroit before he got to Chicago? We'd have to look that up. But I think he either won a cup with Pittsburgh or lost one with Pittsburgh to Detroit or vice versa. Or he may have played for both. I think he was bounced around a little bit. But he reminds me of the modern-style Yari Curry. So, he wasn't afraid to muck it up a little bit. Great hands, great shot. So congratulations to Hossa. Hossa making the Hall of Fame, I think, hopefully paves the way for the Sens captain to make it. Maybe not next year, but the year after, or in the next 5 years, I really hope Alfie makes the Hall of Fame. I'm not a Sens fan, but I'm a huge Alfie fan. I thought he represented our city really well and did a lot in terms of charity work. So I'm hoping for Alfie. And I don't know what are your thoughts on Alfie?
We're all hoping for Alfie. I mean,
yeah.
But again, it's one of those things where it doesn't scream Hall of Fame. It's not a need for the Hall of Fame. Oh, the way your hat was there, we saw your dishes in your kitchen. We did a second ago. I just fact checked too. Jerome McGinley did not win a Stanley Cup, so I was wrong with that one. I'm trying to fact check the Marion host at the same time too. But Alfie, again, from an Ottawa standpoint, he screams Hall of Fame from this Senator fan perspective. But on the whole, I don't know if it's necessarily like, obviously it wasn't a slam dunk. He didn't get in this time. It's not a slam dunk for him. But I think, whether it's the next go round or the one after that, I think eventually he does get in. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take.
For sure. Kim St. Pierre, remember she came and played goalie for the no, that was Manon Rion.
Manon Rion played for the Lightning, yeah. And
right,
she was also in I think she was in was she actually in Playboy, or were they tried to pay her a lot of money to be in Playboy and she turned it down?
Manon Rion?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah, me either.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, Kim St. Pierre, great hockey career, great player. Congratulations. Nice to see our hockey women being recognized because, man, they were good for so long. With Haley Wickenheiser and that crew. So congratulations to her. Kenny Holland comes in as a bit like the builder category, I guess you would call it. What he did in Detroit, it's like what the Patriots have done in the last 20 years in football. I mean, they were so good for so long. Like, really, if you think about the Detroit Red Wings, it's only the last couple of years that they've fallen off. But prior to that, 1994 until 2018, they were potential cup winners every year.
Yeah, they had a style that was all their own, and they perfected it.
Oh,
and from at the time back then, I was a Leaf fan, and the Leafs were in the same division as Detroit, and there was just no getting past them.
Yeah.
Fact check on Marian Hossa. He played in 3 consecutive Stanley Cup finals with 3 different teams, finally winning the Stanley Cup in 2009 and 10 with Chicago, and won 2 additional ones with Chicago in the 2012-13 and 14-15 seasons. So he was in 2 of them before, but he had lost consecutive. So I'm assuming that was probably Pittsburgh and maybe Detroit?
Yeah, I think it was Detroit, so tough luck. Hey, yeah. Doug Wilson.
Doug Wilson.
I remember as a kid because he didn't wear a helmet. Yeah, he didn't wear a helmet. But there were 3 guys in the NHL that could really hammer the puck. It was Al Iafrate, Doug Wilson, and Al McGinnis. I remember just those 3 guys always used to and everybody else had a mediocre shot. But those 3 guys could really hammer it from the point.
I never saw Wilson as being one of those. McGinnis and Iafrate, 100%. But Iafrate had the Kim Mitchell do, right? The skullet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why he took his helmet off when he did those slap shots, but whatever. To each his own. He let
take Doug Wilson in. I think it's NHL '93 or '92. Not '90. He's not in '94, but he's in '93 or '92 with the Sharks, and he's got like a 99 rating for his slap shot. Just FYI. So the Sharks are terrible.
If any of our listeners are out there, this is a plea that if you have an extra PS4. With something more modern than NHL 93 for Pierre, hit us up, because the amount of references you throw back to these games is because you're playing them still.
Yeah, times are tough. Times are tough. I'm dealing with COVID. I've got my Sega.
He doesn't have COVID, people. Right.
No, I don't. That's right. I don't actually have it, but I'm dealing with it. Anyway, yeah. So congratulations to those 6 players. I'm just going to quickly go over the snubs. And, Alex McGillney is a guy that seems to get snubbed every year. And I feel like he's been eligible for how long? Like 15 years? But, man, that guy was the ultimate Russian before Russians were cool in hockey.
Alexander McGillney was, I don't know, as good as anybody I remember watching on the ice. And he played for teams that were again, as a Leaf fan, as a Ottawa fan, the Sabres are a team that I just despise. Lindy Ruff despised them.
Couldn't
Alexander
stand
McGillney was scary. Every time he played, like he was dangerous just to do stuff, whatever he wanted to do on the ice when he decided to play. And
He scored 76 goals in 92-93. 127 points.
Yeah, what's his rating in NHL 92, 93?
It's very good.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
55 goals and 107 points in 95-96. So he had two years within a 5-year span where he scored 76 goals and 55 goals. That's incredible. He ranks third all time in goals and goals per game among Russian forwards. So we're talking about some guy, Pavel Bure and Alex Ovechkin and McGillney. He's in elite company. It's pretty remarkable that he's not in the Hall of Fame. I don't really know why is he continuously denied?
How many times has he been snubbed? 3?
11.
He's been snubbed 11 times?
11th consecutive year.
All right. That's getting to be a little bit much. You know what would be kind of cool? Topic change. Is that if we were good enough where we'd be talking about McGillney and talking about like his stats and how good he was, and I was able to put on a clip of McGillney undressing people and then a clip of Wilson slap shot or his hair. You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't it be cool if we were that good? Sorry, audience. Sorry, guys. It's just...
We got the background. We got YouTube channel. Step by step.
I guess.
Ooh, baby, gonna get to you so step by step.
Oh, you went to the second one.
Next snub. We talked about him earlier. Alfredson.
Yeah.
I don't know if you call this snub, but this is his first year of eligibility, right? Or first 3 years. Sorry, he's been eligible for 3 years.
Don't you have to be out of it by a certain it's not just immediately when you retire that you're eligible. You have to wait a certain period, isn't it?
He's been gone. Well, he's been gone since 2015.
So he's been eligible for 3 years. Oops.
Yeah, he's passed over the first 3 years of eligibility. I thought this was his year, considering. I don't know. I didn't watch enough of Kevin Lowe to determine whether Kevin Lowe is an automatic Hall of Famer. Maybe they need to have 2 defensemen, 2 forwards, a female representative, and a builder. I don't know how the induction works, what the criteria is, but I feel like he had a hell of a career and in many ways was the face of a franchise for 2 decades. No offense to Marian Hossa, great numbers, he's got his cups, but Alfredson he sticks out. Maybe because we're local. Maybe we're local. Maybe that's why he sticks out more than the rest. But what do you think? Is he a snub? Would you put him ahead of anybody else on that list that I named earlier?
Probably not. But I think he's a snub because of where we are right now and the impact he's had on the Ottawa franchise in general, the Ottawa community. Yeah. He's still relevant today in terms of, it's a big deal when he's at the rink. It's a big deal when he's doing different things. So he's an Ottawa Hockey Hall of Famer, 100%.
Yeah.
But, I don't think he surpasses, Alfredson and McGillney on the ice. Both good, but McGillney is sort of at a different level on a lot of that stuff. I just think that, like you said, Alfredson is just the face of the franchise, where McGillney really wasn't because they had Robitaille and those guys there. Anyway, that's my feelings on it. I'm surprised by the I don't know if you're going to bring up the other snub that was there with a Canadian female hockey player. You going to bring that up?
Yeah, I'll bring a couple up. I just want to mention if I can clarify one thing, I think all these people are deserved. I think the NHL shouldn't limit the amount of inductees. If a guy is qualified, then you induct him. Why limit the amount of people to get in every year? If you've got a class where every single one of them is deserving and will get in eventually, just put them in. Put them in. What are we doing?
Because the guy who has to chisel out the bronze busts or whatever, he can only do 8 in a row. He can only do 8 a season.
Well, guess what? Hire another guy.
Create jobs.
Yeah. Theoren Fleury is a really interesting one, and it could be we could have a show just on Theoren Fleury alone. Very troubled minor league career. Overcame a lot to have a phenomenal phenomenal hockey career. We all know the trials and tribulations of Theoren Fleury, sexual abuse in the minors, alcohol abuse as an adult, stemming from that abuse as a kid. It's troubling, but from a pure hockey standpoint, his numbers, his success on the ice, how do you not have him in? So is he going to be like a Roger Clemens or a Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire, in the sense of like he's just not going to get in based on some of the personal stuff that's happened?
See,
it's tough.
It is tough because it would be a shame. It's different. I know you're talking Mark McGuire and those guys, and you talk about steroids, you talk about those kind of era where they may have, in some eyes, disgraced the game to a certain degree. Fleury, I never would put him in the category that he disgraced the game. I think the game disgraced him on a lot of things. So
no doubt.
If he gets held accountable for that and withheld from the Hall of Fame and stuff because of things that were brought to light because of his bravery to stand up to them and to bring them to the forefront and speak up about it, then that's a travesty on its own, and I would lose a ton of respect for the NHL in general.
You make some excellent points, and I just feel like at the end of the day, there's a group of people who vote these guys in. So they're the ones who need to explain why. And whether it's some of the trouble he caused off the ice in his later years in the league and during his career, some of the issues with alcohol, just like the guys who vote in baseball haven't voted Mark McGuire. They have their reasons. I mean, I don't know. I get that we can again. That's another topic, but I mean, I just feel like this guy should be in the Hall of Fame. A great player. Won a cup early with the Flames when they beat my Montreal Canadiens in Game 6 on Forum ice. Broke my heart because I was old enough to remember that. Young enough yet old enough. So anyway, who knows what the reasoning is? Jennifer Botterill was the last snub. Please forgive me. I don't know enough about her career to have an opinion, but her certainly her collegiate and international play has been spectacular. So she does fall in the snub category. I wish I had more to offer on this topic, on this particular player, because I just didn't watch enough of her.
Look,
but two-time MVP in the Worlds.
Two-time MVP in the Worlds. She played at Harvard. She's the first player ever to win the Patty Katzmeyer Award, which is basically the Hobie Baker for the annual top U.S. college female ice hockey player. And she won that twice. She had like 319 points in 113 games playing for Harvard. She's only one of 4 players to collect over 100 or more points in a single NCAA campaign. So for 1 year, obviously her world stage performance is second to none, having won 3 Olympic gold medals, 5 world championship titles. She was a 2-time MVP at the Worlds and produced almost more than a point a game, or just about a point a game, 174 and 184 games. Like ridiculous numbers that I think I'm more surprised that she got snubbed than the other guys we talked about.
Yeah, I agree. I just saw that number, the 174 out of 184. That's incredible.
Ridiculous.
You're getting a point a game basically every time you play a national game with your team. That's incredible. Anyway, honorable mentions, Patrick Iliash, great career with the Devils. Like really underrated along the lines of Marian Hossa, but has some cups. Rod Brind'Amour was a stud player for the Carolina Hurricanes, but he started his career with the Philadelphia Flyers, and he was a grinder. He was there, I think, as Lindros and the Legion of Doom were making their way in. I think Brind'Amour was on his way out. Sergei Gonchar, great defenseman, smooth as silk. I miss Sergei. He was fun to watch. So anyway,
he tops those 3 for me. I think he's the next guy. I think Brind'Amour is still working on it because with his coaching career, I think he'll do very well in it, and I think that will also spike him up. But Gonchar was right up there. So for him not to be in yet, I think that'll be sooner rather than later.
So do we have that applause button? Do you have that applause button?
Sure do.
Congratulations to all of the 2020 Hockey Hall of Fame inductees. Incredible.
Beauty.
We're approaching 30 minutes, if not, we may have gone beyond, but we're gonna close it down with our man, Mr. Canada for a few years in basketball, Vinsanity, Air Canada. He officially announced his retirement today. Now, he's been telling people around the league this year that he was not going to return for a 23rd season. But, sometimes guys change their minds. Well, he has now made it official. He is retiring from professional basketball. And, I have mixed feelings about Vince Carter. I'm bitter. I'm bitter with the way he left Toronto. And I'm not going to make a huge fuss about this because I don't want to spoil a guy on a day where he's announced that he's not coming back to his sport that he played for so long and so well. But when he left Toronto, he had 4 good years in Toronto. I'm being generous. He had 3 really, really good years in Toronto. 99, his rookie year, 2000, 2001, and 2002. 2003, they brought in Sam Mitchell. And for whatever reason, Vinsanity just stopped taking care of his body. He was getting injured way too often for a young guy. He wasn't working on his game. You could tell that the muscle development from the time he was playing in 2000, 2001 to 2004, his body was not as muscular as it was. He didn't develop a real go-to move. He just relied on his pure athleticism for most of his young career. And as he got older, he started developing, a bit more wisdom, and he knew how to pace himself. But I really, really wish that he would have stayed in Toronto, and B, he would have worked on his game a little bit more and not relied on his athleticism for so many years. And he knows now that he had something really good in Toronto with his cousin. And when McGrady left, they could have won a championship with those two. But I don't want to spoil the guy's day. Vinsanity had me out of my chair for the first 4 years of his career, but when he got traded and what we got in return is a friggin' joke. Eric Williams, Aaron Williams, what a hot mess. Alonzo Mourning, who said I'm not showing up and didn't show up. I mean, what a shit show. But you would have been in Colgate when in 1999.
Yep.
So. Did you watch a lot of Vince Carter in his early years?
Yeah. I mean, he was probably the only reason that the Raptors were on TV down there was because of Vince Carter, and he brought a lot of attention to it. So, without him, I wouldn't have seen a lot of the Raptors games back then. But yeah, we got to see him. He was on every highlight reel. Every ESPN Sports Center had a Vinsanity clip of some sort from the night before. Like, it was just a highlight reel.
The first 2.5, 3 years, he was a monster. Like he was performing dunks in games that I had never seen. I mean, it took Jordan 11 years to dunk on Mutombo. It took Vince Carter a half a season. So, I mean, he was a absolute, he's probably maybe the best dunker I've ever seen in his early years. When he got to New Jersey, I mean, there's still a highlight reel in New Jersey that would knock you out of your seat. But I just felt that he left so much on the table in Toronto, and if he just would have taken the game a bit more seriously. You remember that stat line that Sam Mitchell soundbite when they asked him about the game, and he goes, "We had guys tonight with a stat line 0-0-0. If they don't want to be here, they can leave." He was talking about Vince Carter,
Really?
And that precipitated the trade. I mean, I'm sure there were other guys that particular night that weren't performing, but that really was the catalyst for Vince Carter leaving town. So, man, it breaks my heart because what an athlete. And you're right. The first Canadian, first was a game that Vince Carter took part in against the Phoenix Suns. I remember. Great. So.
Well, I feel like we've gone over our time because you were making a point and you were very like, see, told you, but you were choppy, didn't hear a thing. And then it came back on and you were just like, made my point. Didn't hear a fucking word you said. So anyway, I guess we maxed out our internet bandwidth for the half hour. Do you want to repeat the last part of what the hell you were talking about?
I said you nailed it because they did nationally televise a Raptor game during Vince Carter's tenure. It was the first Raptor game that was on it was NBA on NBC playing the Phoenix Suns, and that was Vince Carter who was on that team, and they actually won. So it was at the ACC, and I remember it was Snapper Jones was doing the game with Bill Walton, and they were just raving about how athletic Vince Carter was and how the Raptors are the next up-and-coming team. They really had something going, and they blew it up. And do you know? Let me put you on a quick spot here. Do you know the game plan they had when they decided to let McGrady walk?
Can you be more vague? Sorry. What
Hey.
do you mean game plan? Who's they? What game plan?
So
Management?
the organization. What do you know what they had in mind when they let McGrady walk?
Yeah, they wanted to bring in Charles Barkley.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Really?
Yes.
Totally grabbing at straws there, but
No, they want to bring a big time power forward because it was before the run and gun days, so it was still the NBA where they thought you need a center, you need a shooting guard, and you need a point guard who distributes. It's not like now. It's not like today where you got your point guard Steph Curry hoisting up threes and not really playing any D. Back in that day, you had a point guard who played defense and distributed the ball. So they thought they can go out and get Hakeem Olajuwon, who was their plan B, because they did try to get Barkley. So they let McGrady walk because they wanted to have a bit more balance on the floor. And if you think about it now, a McGrady Vince Carter tandem in today's NBA would probably win you a championship. So It's funny how the mentality and how the strategies have differed over the years, but that was essentially the Raptors' plan, was to say, you know what, we're going to let him go. We're going to try and get ourselves a big-time big man, and it didn't work out. I mean, Olajuwon was on his last legs, and he fasted for most of that season because was it Ramadan maybe? I'm not, forgive me, I don't know what, but he didn't eat for most of the first half of the season. So he was slow, lethargic, and his knees were shot. But anyway, there's a little.
He looked good in the swim trunk.
He did. Yes, he did.
I'm gonna have to do that. That being said, too, they replayed the '91 World Championship. '91, I think it was, Lakers and Bulls. Did you watch that the other day? Yeah. I saw whatever, Pippen all over the place dunking and really bringing it down at the end of the stretch and Paxson lighting it up, and I saw Jordan get fouled at the end of the game and go shoot a free throw and he missed it. So whatever, garbage. Anyway,
you know who I didn't see in that game, or in the 3 games in LA? You know who I didn't see? James Worthy and Byron Scott, because they were both hurt.
Right.
So they would have. Worthy was the best player in the team. Worthy was their Michael Jordan. So I get so pissed off when people talk about that series because they took one in Chicago. They took the first one, and then Worthy and Scott got hurt in game 2, and Jordan did that whole under the basket left hand reverse layup thing that he didn't have to do. So anyway, don't get me started. I watched that last night, and they still almost won.
Yeah, it's an asterisk. Chicago was not good. Michael Jordan was not that good. Anyway, we're gonna go out. I don't have a song queued up, but we're gonna go out. I'm gonna edit this, and I'm gonna throw in the shout out to Father's Day that my brother Curtis found this great thing, the Cameo, where you get some celebrities that'll say stuff for you. Anyway, we found
Incredible.
My dad's a big Skinner fan, and we found Peter Keys, the keyboardist for the band, and we got him to make a little video for my dad for Father's Day, and we're gonna go out to that. My dad still raves about it. He posts all over his Facebook, and he's playing it probably every day. It's on his phone. I'm surprised it's not his ringtone yet. Anyway, it was probably the best gift we could get a guy that doesn't need anything. So we're going to go out to that. Day. Happy Father's Day, to all the fathers out there. And, hey, this is video 2. Let's see what happens. We'll work on our backdrops. We'll work on our sound. And at some point, we'll get video clips in there. I don't know how, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And if anybody's looking for training, trying to get in shape, summertime is here. We just have nowhere to go. But you're looking for training, personal training, I know a guy who will go to your house or will do workouts outside. He's on I don't know if he's on this side or if he's on this side. I don't know how this is going to edit, but my boy P-Dog does the training. So if you're looking for training, looking to get in shape, figure out your meal plan or whatever, I might as well be looking right at myself. But anyway, talk to Pep. and get your stuff together. So reach out to us, reach out to Pep, and he'll help you out. Any last words?
No, man. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'm off to a cottage this weekend, so everybody be safe and happy, and I'll be sipping on some pina coladas and doing some sea doing.
Beauty. All right, here's Peter Keys. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace out.
Hey, Rob. Peter Keys here from Leonard Skinner. Your boys Brock and Curtis wanted to get you something special for Father's Day, and since there won't be a Skinner roadie with the Four Horsemen this year, I thought I'd play a little something for you. What song is it you want to hear? I think I know that one. All right, Rob, happy Father's Day. That's what's up. God bless you.